Hmm. Here we are. We're live. And how you doing? This is your Sensei Al Bob, your shamanic griot. And what is that? That is someone who tells a story from the frame of the indigenous. All our relations, 9 generations from the past and to 9 generations into the future. That's the responsibility we hold. And here we are in a time and a place, one of these transitional moments where I keep talking about the window of opportunity, and we have an opportunity to change things in a big way, for the positive or just the same old same. And the same old same is it's like when Operation Eternal Freedom was started. Today is 9/11. 18 years, and we have been at war in Afghanistan and at war in Iraq and hundreds of other places. We haven't really told the American people. And the Constitution says, it's the right of the responsibility of the Congress. And the Congress is, we have the best legislators money can buy. So, they're being told what to do by the powers that shouldn't be, right? And we, the people, are distracted by fast food and big screen TVs, just like the Romans had, bread and circus. And here we are, you know. And, so the last of these I did, I'm kind of up in the deep woods, so I don't have the access to the internet. It's catch as catch can. And so the last one we did was, talking about mindfulness, and what is that? That's like being awake of everything we do. That's like the frame of the indigenous, 9 generations, all our relations back, our ancestors, and all the children in front. That's being awake, conscious. When Buddha was on the side of the road and the traveler saw the luminescence of Buddha's. Well, are you God? And Buddha said, no. Well, what are you, man? What are you? And Buddha replied, I am awake. And that's what I've been doing this channel for, to see if anyone's awake, see if anyone can be part of the cadre, to in their own way be that little pebble in the pond to change things, And we all have problems, we've all had a hard time. I mean, we live in a sociopathic culture, and that's every one of us, Right now, I've been very blessed since the 20th of July. I've been out in the deep green. So basically, being there amongst trees, lots of oxygen, the birds, and everybody saying hi. And I just, sit, read, and write. And so it's comes to my understanding that everyone has been, abused, The Me Too movement is here to tell us that women have been oppressed. Well, they have been, since time immemorial, right? But women are mothers. They have the ability to train their sons, right? So that's kind of where, whoops, we need to go. And men, I used to, back in the day when I was a youngster and I went to grade school, and, Billy Joel, his first album called Piano Man, he has a song called Billy the Kid, from a town known as Oyster Bay, Long Island. That's, from third grade to 8th grade. I went to the North Shore school district, and that was right there. And up until I showed up, basically in 1962, it was so much of a rural place, and there were really rich people. Do, 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 do. Hey, John. John.
Yeah, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. So I was talking about, everyone has a hard time in life, not just a few of us.
Not just you, but everyone close to you.
No, everyone has experienced hard times because, our society is basically sociopathic. I mean, look how many wars we're in. Look at the environment. Look at the economics. This is not a happy-go-lucky place.
The wars are that's a part of the inherent evil in mankind. I don't want to be part of it anymore, so I'm done with all people on.
Yeah, but we're here, we're on the books. So we either think about these things, and so I got so much time on my hands to think about this stuff. Well, and that's true. We all have stray thoughts that come into our minds that can manipulate us, right? But it's up to us to choose the thoughts we want, and then to choose the words that we speak, and then the actions, and then the deeds, and then the outcomes. These are all things we do. We can control this. We do have that ability to control that. So anyway, that's what I was talking about. So how's the weather been there?
Well,
it's really been kind of beautiful here. Really, since July 20th, it's only rained twice. Yeah, what's blue sky right now, little puffy clouds.
You're like everyone else.
What?
I just want to kill myself.
No, you don't want that. You don't want that.
Feel horrible.
What makes you feel horrible? You can pick things. You can pick things that will make you feel better.
Like a parasite.
You can make yourself feel better. You don't have to feel. John, I haven't been there since July 10th. That's over 40 days. So there's not too much.
It's, and every time I talk to you, it's so horrible.
Well, you called me. I didn't call you.
And I don't give a fuck. I hope they kill me. I hate this world. I hate the devil. I hate all the evil in it. I hate the necessary required to kill people over shit, foreigners, have them killed for no reason, just stirred up for all our money and power and all the freedom we have to make others suffer. I'm tired of it all, and I don't give a fuck. I stood up for probably more than most anyone in this country, and I just want to be dead. I don't give a fuck. It's horrible feeling. There's no freedom feeling, no happiness. It just feels awful. And this is the best country on earth. This is the best country on earth more than any other.
But John, you have the freedom to have the life you want. You don't have to feel this way. What's making you feel terrible?
Well, you're like somebody who makes me feel bad just being around.
How do I make you feel bad, John? For the last 3 years, all I've done is try to assist you, to be there for you, to be your friend, someone who never gives up on you, who always tells you how you are a great filmmaker. Those films that you make, people don't understand the level of complexity that those videos you make. They're really great. You are a great artist. Well, I don't know if you got any of that. Uh, I don't know. But, as I was saying, you know, we can pick the life we want. So, Twitchy, you've been experiencing, your life isn't like your parents don't pay your bills, you've had issues, all of the above, you know? So, is that Twitchy? I can't even see. I think it's Twitchy. Anyway, so all we can do is what we can do, you know? Things we can't change, we just have to deal with, I was going off to try and get myself some taken care of, and I ran over something, totally fragged my tire. So I've had to change my whole day, and probably every nickel that I have will go to get my car rolling again. But that's okay because it's a beautiful day. I didn't die. It really didn't hurt my car. Just and there's I think it's, I forgot what culture it is, but it basically says that when something goes awry in your life, be thankful for it because it kind of protects you from that point on. Nothing more will go awry. So, I remember I bought this car in about, I don't know, less than a day. I was, on a road, and there was a truck, a little stone was a dump truck, and a little stone fell off and bounced on the road and hit my windshield and went ding and made a little nick, not a crack, just a nick over there. It wasn't even in my field of vision. So I said, well, that's okay. I went back to the dealer and say, hey, look at this. And, oh, that'll cost you, blah, blah, blah. So forget about it. So I drove it around for 5 years. One day I went over a bump, and then it was a gigantic crack. And I went to my car insurance. Well, that's covered. A little ding, not so much. Big crack, insurance covered it. So the bottom line was nothing, for those 5 years after that little ding, nothing went wrong with that car, right? And still, knock on wood, nothing seriously has gone wrong with that car. So, but things like this, so, okay, so another, Thomas, I can't even read the comments. That guy, Yo-Yo, he started a whole channel to go after me. And it's like, he's like a fan. That's all he does, talk about me. It's like, really? So, and I really, really care for John. John is my friend. I don't give up on him. I constantly say this, and there are other, not people who are trolls. They're not quite trolls, but they're like, you shouldn't be so hard on John. Well, I'm not hard on John at all, I don't do anything physically to him, I helped him stop smoking cigarettes. I helped him, adjust his life in many positive ways. But John is a person who can like us all. See, John is, again, the I don't even know how to describe the canary in the coal mine. He's the metaphor for all of humanity. He's Oedipus. He's the guy who went looking for the golden fleece, Gilgamesh, you name it. And that's pretty amazing. Me, I'm just a storyteller, and again, as I start off with every story, don't believe anything I say. I'm just a storyteller. None of this, all it's meant to be as a griot is I'm here to tell you a story that kind of rumbles around in your subconscious and you go, oh, you start thinking about something more positive than the negative. And I could go on and on about the negative things in my life, but I don't, you know? I was lucky. People picked on me. I was a little peanut as a kid. I was always the kid. And luckily, I was so involved in discovering what life was about because I had a grandmother who took me to all these museums. We would go to the Met and the zoo, you name it, Guggenheim. She had memberships in all of them. We could just stroll in and look at everything. And then there were people of great historical prowess, gravitas, like Madame Olga Kluver and Grandpa Stoll and all these other people of gravitas in my life. And I just took for granted that that's how human beings acted, that nobly, that kind, that and I, in first grade, I had a little tussle with a nun. So they sent me out of the just regular Catholic school to study with these priests, these Maryknols, who were amazing characters, right? And, one was a physicist, one was a mathematician, one was a linguist. And he was all about where words came from, right? The etymology. And another one was an anthropologist, sociologist, psychologist. And they gave me the worldview from all those points of view, from like 7 on. And then we went to, my dad got this place right on the borderline of Nassau County and Suffolk County. And like I said, it was very rural, but it was where the old rich have their estates, like the Youngs and Anderson and a whole bunch. And there were golf courses, but not clubs, because people had their own big houses. Anyway, it was this interesting culture. And so just when my dad bought this house, it was a little cul-de-sac. So people started taking chunks off these estates and building houses. And so the school district no longer, 2 years before I showed up, they had little schoolhouses in all these little towns. And they made one big thing called Nassau, school district. And I went to it, but it was right at this great transition period where it was still kind of like the little schoolhouse, but becoming something different. And that's what we're going through right now. We are going through something different, right? That's why people feel, John is extraordinarily sensitive. So he's feeling all this stuff, but not understanding it. He just gets threatened and upset and wants to blame someone because he feels guilty. It's not his fault. He's not to blame. But we all have our own lives to live that we can change ourselves. And when we view all of this in a construct of all our relations, we're all in it together. It's the me and we, right? And so instead of it's all about me, it's all about me. Oh, I feel so terrible. Oh, life sucks. Everything. I want to kill. No, that is like, something, who's not trying to get the most out of their life, Me. So here I had this little tussle with my car. Like I said, way could be worse, but it's not. So it's all good. So that's where we're at. We're at this place where I want you, the adepts, right, to view these and see how you can be that pebble. I had this, back in the day, I've shown you tons of pictures back in the day, right? And it was, an amazing time, that mix of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, like between 1968 and 1988. That 20 years was a time like no other. So, that's kind of where we're at, you know, and we're at this another transition period, and this is a big one. This is like long trends, billions of years, and you know, everything that we've been told is a lie. Where we came from, our religions, everything. Now, all our religions play to a part of who we are, and so it has meaning. And if we can delve into that spiritually, right? And how do you do that? So we are spiritual beings that have this, bag of water as an avatar to experience this material world. And this bag of water has nerves and muscles and all kinds of things. And it has 9 different fields in it that hold 9 different types of information. And yet we are basically stuck into the realization of our 6 senses, our sight, our smell, our taste, our hearing, our feeling, all the above. And that's only 0.04% of everything. The other 99.946% of everything, we don't even register. And that's because we're stuck perceptually in this avatar, this bag of water. But spiritually, we're not, stuck to that. In our DNA, we're only using about 10% of our brain, and then, good old Mr. Bill Gates is trying to get us into, Microsoft 10 in our consciousness through transhumanism. No, it's through prayer and, good thoughts, what we think about, what do we daydream about, we daydream about being Hugh Hefner and Playboy and, being a zillionaire and, being powerful. No, what, at least I daydream about is how to help people. And it'd be easy to walk away from John, I've been away from him now since the 20th of July. That's more than 40 days. I've done nothing to rock his boat. But in those 40 days, a few times I've tried to talk to him, he's like, again, if he thought good thoughts and then had good words, I mean, every word out of his mouth is like, whoa, baby, and it's not his fault. The only fault that we have is that from each moment we have the opportunity to start anew, to be different, to navigate, not be the victim, And so a lot of people were like, angsting about the trolls, and I keep saying that they're there as a a simulator. How to be a better person. Well, be nice to the trolls. When they show up, speak to them like, so who are you? What are you? Tell us about yourself. Well, they can't. They don't. So that's what makes me think that's silicate. But somebody told me that one of those guys actually made a channel just to diss me. And, it's like, really? Oh, isn't that sweet? He's like, he loves me so much. And I love him too. I love them both. I love Yo-Yo and Turd. I love them both, and I only wish them the best. And back in the Rainbow days, so we would explode a city into a national forest in less than 3 weeks of 20,000 people. One day it's about 8 of us, and then all of a sudden there's 100 of us, and then a week or two later there's 20,000 people there. So we had, safety, sanitation, water, healthcare, the whole thing. And so 20,000 people, there were a lot of people who, as Donald Trump would say, some bad hombres. Well, we couldn't just, we had no, couldn't arrest anybody. What we did do is we would ferret them out because we knew who came, we'd been doing this forever. So we had our, what we would call Shantasina, the Rainbow Police. And the only way we could deal with people is um, be with them, right? And so there were a lot of people of the rainbow scene that were road dogs, people on the road, right? And they had issues, they had real problems, and they were all self-medicating of one sort or another. And so there was a serious alcoholic, quadrant of those gatherings. So we'd have a thing called a camp, and we'd put them in the camp, but on the edge, right? And I would take it as my responsibility to go visit them, right, every day. In the morning, it depends on where the gate was. Sometimes my path to the gate to go visit the other folk would be through their camp. And I would, hey, how you doing? I know them all. I'd have coffee with them. If they were sore from falling down, I would adjust them, and I'd listen to them. And I'd bring my hammock and put them on the hammock and do my energetic thing with them. And they all appreciated that because I never judged them. I was always there for them. Now that was tedious, but by me doing that, it made the gathering as a whole much, much better. Because when I wasn't there at those gatherings, or if I wasn't doing that, that energy would put, friction to the whole thing. Oh man. So, Thomas. Mm-hmm. Yep. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm going to